Welcome back to the Mike Huckabee Show on this Tuesday. A story that has broken this week regards yet another instance of the IRS going after a group that apparently somebody in the IRS didn't particularly agree with. Not that it is any of the government's business to agree or disagree with the points of view of Americans who apply for tax-exempt status. In this case, the group is a group called Pro-Life Revolution. They obviously are a pro-life group based in Texas. Their executive director is Ania Joseph, and she joins me now. Ania, so glad to have you here today.
Thank you, Mr. Huckabee, for having me on your show.
Well, I appreciate it. You know, this is a very disturbing story because we've actually heard copy of the phone call, and it's hard to understand. We're not going to play it on air because it's a little difficult to understand by the time it gets to air. But you were told, or your organization was told by IRS agent Sherry Wan, that you cannot, and I quote here, you cannot force your religion or force your beliefs on somebody else. Nobody will go after you as long as you don't violate the law, but when you come to apply for tax exemption, you have to keep your action to, you know, exactly what is educational or religious, end quote. So this is what you were told.
Yes, and that was a very frightening phone call to me. That happened I think it happened 2 years ago. I got that phone call, and the moment she started talking, she started berating me and yelling and telling me these things that I have to keep my religion to myself, that I have to stay neutral on the issues of abortion. And basically, she made me feel like I was breaking the law. And you know, I didn't know what to do after that phone call. I had to contact a law firm because I didn't know what to do. I was terrified. So I called Alliance Defending Freedom because, you know, without them, I know that I would still be facing this abuse and discrimination at the hands of the IRS. I mean, they stonewalled Pro-Life Revolution for nearly 1,000 days. And finally, when my awesome lawyer, Eric Stanley, told them we're going to sue you, they finally produced the tax-exempt status. But it was very scary, you know, because I come from a communist-occupied country, from Poland. And when I was growing up, the church was persecuted by the communist government. We didn't have free speech. We didn't have the right to speak against the communist government. And if you did, you know, if you preach the gospel of Jesus Christ and proclaim the basic human rights, the basic, you know, human rights of freedom and human dignity, they would scoop you up and kidnap you and murder you, throw you into jail, burn down your business. So when she started yelling at me, I was terrified. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a big government agency, and they're telling me I'm a lawbreaker, basically. So,
you know, Ania, this is so disturbing to me. First of all, how poignant that you came from a country where there was religious oppression in the strongest possible way. You came to America, a place that's supposed to be the land of the home, you know, the home of the free, the land of the brave, and instead you find out here that government agency stomps all over your basic rights. And here's what stuns me, Ania, is when the IRS agent tells you that you have to keep your religion to yourself. I'm thinking, wait a minute. One of the most protected organizations or forms of organization is a religious organization. And for them to act like that if you're a religious organization, you can be religious as long as you're not so religious that anybody would know that you're religious, that's right. That's the most irrational thing I think I've ever heard. I can't imagine how anybody even can make that work in their own brain.
I know, it's ridiculous. I mean, the IRS is a tax collector, you know, and they've turned into this Gestapo organization patrolling everybody's speech and belief system. And, you know, and we cannot allow the IRS to ruthlessly dictate against the legitimate non-profits simply because they don't approve of the organization's mission. They must be held accountable for this.
Well, Ania, I am unapologetically and emphatically pro-life. You may know that. And I'm just curious, tell me what your organization does, because I'm anxious to find out what it is that you do that is so frightening and so threatening to the U.S.
Well, first of all, we are faith-based, so that's your first, you know, clue there. That's very scary, proclaiming the gospel of Jesus Christ these days. People are scared of the truth, you know. But we have a three-pronged approach to ending abortion. First of all, we provide emergency housing to women who are in abusive pregnancy situations, who are being forced into abortions, who end up on the street. Second of all, we produce multimedia resources that we show to the community, resources on abortion and the issue of coerced abortion. We actually partner with different ministries and expose this issue. We partner with this really great ministry in Uganda, Africa, where the abortion industry is starting to really expand. And, you know, through this partnership, we are reaching thousands of young people and hundreds of babies are being saved. And the third thing we have a grassroots outreach in front of abortion mills where we, you know, give people pro-life literature and educate them on fetal development and tell them about, you know, how abortion is dangerous to spiritual, you know, health, basically. It's a sin, so.
Okay, so let me get this right, Ania. You provide emergency shelter to women who are getting the daylights beat out of them because they don't want to have an abortion. I don't know why that would be controversial. That would seem like a wonderfully laudable thing for you to do. You provide education so people might actually know what they are doing to their bodies. And I always thought that, you know, I'm told by liberals all the time that we need more education and that information is power and that nobody should make an uninformed decision about anything. So that would seem to be fine. And then you exercise First Amendment right to stand in public places and offer alternatives and options to people who are seeking abortions, which is, again, a fundamental right to gather, to associate, and to speak. Oh, and also to practice religion. So I guess in what you do, I'm not seeing the big threat to the American way of life here. It looks like to me that you guys in every way would qualify for a very simple approval of tax-exempt status. Well, I'm glad that you have legal representation, and that's very, I think, smart on your part not to try to go this alone because I think the IRS would have just continued to stomp all over you if you hadn't pushed back.
Yes, I believe they would have, and I wasn't able to continue fighting this by myself. It was just too scary for me. It was traumatizing having to deal with it on my own, so that's why I reached out to Alliance Defending Freedom.
And I think it's important to note what you just said. You just want to help women to have a better alternative than taking the life of their unborn child. You're clearly motivated by a passion for life and the sanctity thereof. And it's not your intent to get into a battle with the government. That was never your thought. And yet the way the government has treated you has left you with fear and having a chilling effect upon your ability to reach out to women. That, to me, Ania, says everything that Americans need to know about why it's wrong for the IRS to come so hard against people they don't agree with.
Yes, it's very important. You know, and to be honest with you, you know, throughout this whole thing, my main concern, you know, was not for me. I would have continued doing what I was doing even without any funding because I believe God always provides. And if he has a calling on your life, then he will make a way and he will empower you to do what he's called you to do. But my main concern is for those people, you know, who work for the IRS and for all those other agencies. My concern is for those people who are out there worshiping the government and espousing the demonic ideology of child sacrifice and then telling me how to follow Jesus or not to follow Jesus. Well, you know, if they really want to know, it's really simple. You know, God loves them. God loves them so much he sent Jesus here to die for them on the cross, and on the third day he rose again. So they can have life in abundance, so they can be free from sin and bondage. They don't have to be bound by this Nazi ideology of eugenics and abortion, and most people don't know that the freedom of choice regarding abortion was a Nazi coined phrase, and that abortion was declared a crime against humanity during the Allied forces' Nuremberg trials after World War II. So, you know, my concern is for these people. And if they repent and confess their sins, Jesus will forgive them and he will cleanse them from all wrongdoing. You know, they don't have to be worshiping the government. They don't have to be bowing before some dictator who thinks he's God. I mean, the truth will set them free. You know, if they just stop doing evil and learn to do good. So that's my concern, is that so many people are deceived.
Ania, you are a wonderful and articulate spokesperson for not only the pro-life cause, but for your Christian faith and deep commitment to Jesus Christ. And I just want to say thank you. You know, I can't believe somebody would be upset with you because the clarity of your conviction is something that's refreshing. You articulate it in a loving and kind and gracious way. And I don't care what the IRS thinks of you. I think you are a wonderful person and a hero to me. And I thank you very, very much for being on the show today and sharing what is a disturbing story of how the IRS has treated you. Just know we will always treat you well when you come back to visit with us. Thank you, Anya.
You.
Anya Joseph, Pro-Life Revolution. One more horror story with the IRS. Amazing. Ed Klein, the author of the book The Amateur, is going to be with me when we return. We'll be talking about some things that he has been saying regarding the Obama first term. Don't want to miss this.